Hello and welcome to The German Guy Reviews. I am The German Guy. So, I usually don't do holidays. See, I am a working man. My free time is limited, and if I had to make a video at specific times, this hobby of mine would end up being work again, and I don't want this to happen. Also, who is the calendar to tell me how I should feel and what to celebrate? Screw you, instrument to measure time, I won't obey. Because I'm a rebel without a cause. But hey, sometimes I think I can squeeze in a few holiday-themed pieces of media and other specials, if I plan it right. For instance, when I wrote this, it was the December of last year, giving me plenty enough time to prepare. Unless I put this into my folder somewhere when I finished it and forgot about it for a whole year. But that's the good thing about a clock, it always comes back around. Anyhow, in Germany there is an animated show made in French Canada about everyone's favorite red man with a beard. No, the other one. Exactly. The Secret World of Santa Claus revolves around Santa and his three little elves trying to save Christmas with each episode. Or doing preparations for it, or some other stuff. Now the interesting thing about this cartoon is that it never went off the air. Sort of. The television institutions made a tradition that every year in the last 2 months of the year, and around May for some reason, the show comes back. Now, there are a lot of all-time Christmas movie classics or TV specials, but I have never heard that an entire show centered around Christmas receives this type of treatment, which already makes it something special. And since one of my favorite activities around Christmas as a kid has always been to watch this show, I thought it might be time to give it another look as an adult. So here are all the 26 episodes of The Secret World of Santa, reviewed in speedrun mode. Also, fun fact, the series originally aired in 1997. If we assume that each episode is one Christmas night, the last 2 episodes taking place on the same night, then the series canonically ended now. By the way, we cannot properly start this off by not acknowledging the amazing intro. It's impossible to hear this and not feel jolly.
Santa Claus, how do you know a million toys all those little girls and boys dream about for Christmas night? How do you know that my bicycle, shiny like an icicle, will be yellow, it ain't dry?
Oh man, every time I hear this I get a Christmas boner. And yes, it's in the shape and color of a Christmas cane. Anyone who is confident enough to rhyme bicycle with icicle is a great artist, period. We meet our cast of characters, playing ice soccer. Hey, wanna ask Pippi Longstocking if she wants to join? She is into that suicidal stuff. Santa shows up, overjoyed that the first letter this season has arrived. While the group cheers, they are being watched by Grozzlebeard, the anti-Santa, who apparently has no other hobbies than trying to ruin Christmas. And we never find out why. Personally, I like to believe that Santa had to do something similar like Kami in the original Dragon Ball did. He needed to cut out all the evil in him so that he would be allowed to do the job. And so he did and just threw it into the world. Noticeable here is that, like most bad guys, he gets a kick-ass theme song.
That only gives us a few more planning days to ruin it.
You sound happy.
Yeah, I love the holidays. Joys to dampen, smiles to sadden. I live for this.
To his side is his loyal henchman, a troll who goes by the name Dudley. In this first episode, the toy machine in Santa's workshop breaks down. And the workshop in the show isn't a workshop, but a futuristic glass dome for what I assume are illegal science experiments. Many people think that the monster in John Carpenter's The Thing was an alien, but in actuality it was just Santa trying to create more work-efficient elves. Or, this is just the garage from Ozymandias palace. Repairing the toy machine isn't the biggest problem, however. The real issue is that a magic pearl that powers it is destroyed, so they have to find a replacement. And you will soon understand why this show has stuck with me so deeply all these years. Some media stays with you because it moves you emotionally, others because it's such a well-told story with good characters, and then there are those that are balls to the walls insane. In order to get a new pearl, the Santa crew has to evade a giant snowman that later, Sorcerer's Apprentice style, reassembles into thousands of smaller snow dudes. And a monster bat. Man-Bat is in this? I had no idea that Santa Claus is part of the Batman mythos. The fuck? The thing I love about comic books is whatever random thing I say, chances are it exists. Meaning if you upload a drawing of, Superman marrying a toaster and then later getting a divorce because the kids are microwaves, there's no way of knowing if it isn't actually true. When I found out that Santa Claus was an actual character that exists in the DC universe, I started looking up some other ridiculous stuff, and what I ended up with was a list on a website titled The Most Ridiculous Things This Year. That's pretty telling, isn't it? Oh yeah, also later, when they are eaten by a whale, they get attacked by a kraken inside its mouth. This is the first episode! In the second story, Santa is acting kind of strange.
Is everything all right, Santa?
Huh? Oh, fine, thanks. Everything's peachy.
I have been doing this for over 2,000 years. And I will do this for the rest of eternity. Did you know, I always wanted to be the Tooth Fairy? But the wings couldn't support my weight, they said. And now the only things I will ever get to collect are these snowflakes. Every single one a unique reminder of my failure. Actually, what is going on is that Mr. Jollytime is terrified for his upcoming test. Every 100 years, he has to pass an exam by the Santa Claus Society to determine if he is still capable of doing his job. This raises quite a lot of questions. If Santa is a publicly known figure in this world and there are legal requirements for him to be Santa, that would mean that all nations in the world give their consent for this man to break into their homes and leave presents. And also constantly watch their children and be the judge, jury and executioner when it comes to rule what is and is not to be considered a good kid. I always more assumed what Saint Nick is doing is more a form of vigilantism. If he can be fired, does that mean the person next in line for the work will receive immortality? They can just hand that out now? Where does the Santa Claus Society get funds from? Do they get payments for each appearance of Mr. Claus in media? Are they a subdivision of the United Nations? Is getting gifts as a good child part of the Declaration of the Rights of the Child? So anyway, Grozzier tries to sabotage his enemy. And quite surprisingly, he actually succeeds. But later, Santa is quick to save the life of a kid, which, as the judges point out, shows that he really cares about the little ones. And that is the most important part of all. Another day, another Christmas. The alarm goes off on Santa's global surveillance network. I know what the government wants for Christmas this year. He and his elves are told that somewhere in the US, after climate change going by the map, in a small place called Sugartown, all children are put on the naughty list. Except 2. Well, then the situation is pretty obvious, isn't it? Nuke the entire site from orbit. It's a breeding nest for evil. Mr. Claus takes 2 of his elves, Thorin and Gilfy, on an undercover mission. while the third one, Geordie, stays at the workshop to look after things. They pretend to be exchange students and find out that the supposedly only two good kids in town hacked into the Santa network and changed the data, thinking that all the presents would become theirs. No, that's not at all how the reward punishment system works. That would mean that the apartment of the only good kid on a block in some godforsaken ghetto would look like this. This is so weird. These two boys are smart enough to hack into the database that I assume has the same level of protection than the freaking Pentagon, but they didn't think that this action might raise some suspicion. Anyway, after this revelation, Santa wants to teach them a lesson by leaving them with Grizzlebeard, as if to say, this is what you will end up being if you continue on this path. A heavy metal artist with my own badass sound machine? Sign me up, dude! So yeah, no moral lessons by showing them how they made everyone else's Christmas a little bit worse by being selfish. Just good old-fashioned scare them straight tactics.
Please, Lord, grant me the power to psychologically torture them into loving you.
After a test flight, Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer, plays on the lake and breaks through the ice. Thinking that Santa wants to replace him now, he runs away.
Oh well, it's only a cold. Could have been worse.
Do you shoot reindeer like horses when they break a leg? Of course, everyone goes out to search for the deer with the natural car lights. And they have to fight off an army of wolves. Santa the Barbarian. The next episode is called The Star Child. So, each story in the series can be categorized into two camps. There are those about events that threaten the entirety of Christmas, and there are individual tales about children with complicated wishes, to say the least. And there is no episode that shows off the second category better than this one. In this episode, a child living on a space station with his two astronaut parents wants a pony. You do realize that the saying, "What do you want next? A pony?" is already meant as an absurd exaggeration, right? So yeah, our hero and his team have to build a freaking spaceship and shrink down the pony so they can get it into space. And this is why we need affordable daycare centers. Grizzlebeard is also a pain in the neck once again. You know, when you are young, this all seems to make sense. But then you get older and realize it's unlikely that there are actually people like this in the world. People who want to make things worse for no apparent reason at all. And then you get even older and realize, holy fuck, there's a metric ton of people like that. Of course, Santa gets the job done. But hey, on the bright side, kids these days won't ask you anymore to raise their relatives from the dead. Not after countless hours of zombie media. Next up is Leon's Christmas. The big brother of the titular character convinces more and more of his fellow peers to stop believing in Santa Claus. Oh what, does he have a little club in a treehouse with a sign outside saying, "No Santa believers allowed"?
I don't want to talk about Christmas. I want to talk about presents. My friends, do you know why you're given presents? Just so you'll be good and obey.
Have I been abducted by Martians who are doing experiments on me right now? So, not only has this kid his own warehouse with anti-Santa banners, he runs it like a radical separatist group.
And all because of Santa! Down with Santa!
We shall burn down the Christmas tree in Times Square, hang the bastard's corpse upside down, and throw every rock from every cobblestone street at him. So, you might be wondering, I know I would in your place, where does all this hatred come from? Well, the pet dog of the boy was given away by his mother to an old lady. He wrote a letter wishing him back, but because of an error, it got lost and was found again, together with the messages from all the cavemen. Yeah, I'm not going to get into that theological debate. I'm just going to assume at some point civilization got destroyed and we went all the way back to the starting line. The dog is brought back and the anti-Santa movement gets disabled. Not gonna downplay it, my old man. You definitely prevented the next fascist uprising right there. So what was the lesson here? Don't learn to accept things you can't change. Just fall into a pit of pure fanaticism and lash out at those that failed you. Then you will get what you want? The working title of this episode: Why Terrorism Works. Also, I just noticed, but from the way this story is presented and built, we have a person who has unshakable belief in Santa and another person, because of personal tragedy, lost his faith until he is proven wrong by the same forces he started to hate. This is literally the plot of a PureFlix movie. We meet a boy that is so rich that he has everything there is to have, so getting a wish from him is nearly impossible, until he tells the desperate man that he wants to be Santa for a single day, so he can impress his crush. Santa, the big red winged man, is a very awesome bro. Sure, this is going to solve the problem for a year, but then you are exactly at the same place where you started, so better start with ideas for next time already. More sibling troubles. The older brother of a boy named Randy throws out his rabbit doll, saying he is too old for this stuff. Excuse me, but I would like to point out that this is a very unbelievable depiction of an older brother. Speaking from personal experience, if I would do something that he didn't like, he would just punch me, fart in my face, and leave the room. It's not a good system, but it's the only one we have. What is there to be done? Convince the older brother that everyone has different interests and there's no reason why Randy should not be allowed to play with a doll rabbit? My friends, I'm very disappointed in you. This would not be the secret world of Santa Claus if the solution to the problem wasn't completely... Santa creates his own video game with Mr. Rabbit as the main character that is marketed and released worldwide with commercials and everything, leading the brother to admit, well, yeah, bunnies can be pretty cool too. Ending the episode with Randy being gifted his old bunny toy disguised as the action hero from the video game. I had to create an entire different department with hundreds of elves only working on video game programming. And being one of the most successful franchises in the entire world, we are going to release the 16th installment next month. All to keep up a lie. A professional ice skater named Crystal lost her Lucky Charm and needs it back for the finals. Grozzlebeard tries to sabotage her and by that send her, because prick. However, it wasn't her Lucky Charm that was responsible for her success, it was she all along. After that, there's a boy who wants a flying carpet so he can visit his father who works as an archaeologist. Problem is, the elves fell at their attempt to build one themselves, so they decide to go for another alternative. They buy one at a bazaar in the Middle East. My god, even Santa's doing outsourcing now. Believe me, in a few years, sleigh and reindeer are going to be replaced by Amazon drones, and you have to sit through 10 minutes of ads for this free service. In yet another episode, a journalist comes to town so that she can learn a bit more about the man behind the beard. Ho 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 ho! I don't tell this a lot of people, but this thing is not actually real. Ho ho! I can't believe this turned out to be the first go-to method for everyone to check if I'm the real deal. It's not like anybody can grow facial hair. Be that as it may, Mr. Generous tells her one of his favorite stories about that time he gave Arthur his sword Excalibur 1,000 years ago, making him King of England. The Lady of the Lake in possession of the sword is in a conflict with Merlin, both arguing that they were the one that created the sword. Santa convinces them both that the other admitted they were wrong, so they can give up the weapon willingly. Another great moral lesson from the secret world of Santa. It's okay to lie to people if it serves your own ends. I mean, sure, if a lie can accomplish peace, that's a good thing, but that peace will only be temporary, as all lies are eventually revealed, so you better come up with something in that time frame. But no, they act as if all is honky-dory now. In the episode The Magic Wand, a girl with, in her opinion, too large nose wants a magic wand, so she can take her revenge and become the Dark Witch ruling the planet. No, actually she wants to make her nose smaller. Admit it, for a second you believed it, didn't you? Now, a wish is a wish, so she gets what she wants. And then chaos ensues, as the wand that she received was a fake made by Gruzzlebeard. A bunch of people are turned into animals, jam comes out of the water tap, basketball equipment becomes alive.
Welcome one and all to Weird Forgetting!
Yet another shitty brother is angry that his little sister gets all the attention of his parents, so he wishes to be small again. But this would not be a Secret World of Santa story if that was all there was to it. And so Dudley steals a machine from Santa, making himself huge and the boy small like a spider. The process is reversed, the kid saved, and lessons learned. You wish. In another story, the children of the neighboring town, located right next to Santa's workshop, want to give the giver a gift. The children give the big red man a new suit. The other one got eaten by termites released by Gruzzlebeard. And just to point out how much this guy sucks, 1/3 of his plans backfire so hard that they end up saving the day. In the Christmas conference, Santa invites a bunch of his buddies to his home. The King of Ice, a witch controlling the wind, a sorceress with the power over fire, and a lady who controls the rain clouds. I always like the wind, earth, fire, water lineup way better than the wind, ice, water, fire. Makes a lot more sense. Hey, whoa, boss, you didn't tell us the next Bunny the Rabbit video game was gonna be an RPG. Anyway, the witch gets kidnapped by Gruzzlebeard, who tries to sabotage Santa's contest. In said competition, one of the four must build something to help a boy who wishes to fly. Gruzzlebeard fails once again, and the elements, instead of fighting each other, discover they could be way more efficient when they work together. And so they build a magic supersuit that makes the little fella fly. This is impressive and all, and I'm not complaining, but could you not have built just a cape? In less than 2 years he will have outgrown that suit, and I am confident when saying there's never going to be another present as good as this. On a later date, the Santa crew creates a history book about the origins of the elves and their evil cousins, the trolls, who have long ponytails with a ball on the end which they use as a weapon. I always knew that Nordic countries and heavy metal have a close relationship, but I never thought that headbanging had its origins in Scandinavian folklore. Gruzzlebeard orders Dudley to fire a beam at the book, which makes the pictures come to life and trash the place. So Santa and his crew go to Olaf the historian elf, who lives in the enchanted forests where all elves come from. He shows them a way to beat the nasty little creatures, and that's it for them. Another year, another Christmas. Dudley, being fed up doing all of Gruzzlebeard's work, wishes for a robot to do everything for him, even though he hasn't been a good boy in ever. The elves grant him his wish because they feel bad for him. However, once the robot is finished, he begins sucking up all the energy in the area, making it impossible for Santa's workshop to get anything done. Oh yeah, and there might be some life support machines in a hospital that stop working or whatever. When the robot is defeated, it doesn't stop Santa from being nice, and so they give Dudley another robot, one that works this time, allowing Dudley to enjoy himself once in a while. But you know what this show needs? An alternative dystopian future episode. Bring it! Frostmourne hungers. Yordi invents a teleportation device, but by accident it transports everyone to the year 2222, where they have built a statue for Gruzzlebeard, so you know things are very bad. Obviously, people did no such thing willingly. Somehow, Gruzzlebeard became dictator of the world and used all his powers to make people forget his arch-nemesis. In his defense, it beats genocide. I can picture several possible scenarios taking place in over 200 years where Santa is forgotten, but unless Rudolph, Donner, Cupid and Comet weren't replaced by war, famine, pestilence and death and started a worldwide campaign to eradicate all forms of good-naturedness, there is no way that this brain-dead, incompetent prick gets anything right. One child who still remembers Santa Claus because his ancestors passed down a photo of him wants to help. In these dark times, we must believe that God will send us a savior. One that brings us presents. My family has always been part of a very specific brand of Christianity. They are brought back to the now times where they can make sure that this awful future will never come to pass. A basketball-playing girl wants to be taller, so Geordie, disobeying Santa's orders, gives her a growth potion, resulting in her becoming, of course, way too big.
You've done enough damage as it is. My taxes will go through the roof.
But that isn't my fault.
Of course not. It's society's fault, just like everything else.
You would be very surprised how much the socio-economic circumstances on Skull Island ultimately led to King Kong attacking New York. Another Christmas is approaching fast, and the elves are overworked and tired. The ice bear named Balbo, the comic relief character of the series, gets on their nerves, wanting to play with them. They tell him off, making him believe that he isn't wanted, period, and leaves home. Oh, you dumb asshole. Seriously, let's say the earliest wish lists they receive are in their mail around the start of November. Meaning Balbo has full 10 months to spend time with them. You get no sympathy from me, you entitled fatball with hair. This stupid animal decides to live with a kid that wished for a life-sized teddy bear, a plan he seriously didn't think through. The moment you desperately need to use the bathroom, but the kid hasn't stopped jumping up and down on your bladder for over half an hour, is the moment you are going to regret your life choices. A douchebag kid that looks like Igor in his younger years didn't got any presents one time and wants everybody else to have a miserable Christmas too. So he redirects all mail in the world towards his home, making it look like Scrooge McDuck's money bin. Only with letters. Bad kid, woohoo! Oh, but this new evildoer doesn't stop there. He also clears out toy stores so not even parents can buy their kids anything. Why is he not the antagonist of the series? He is the far better antithesis of everything Santa stands for. Plus, he is actually competent enough that his plans work. To a certain degree. If this was Grozzlebeard, he would have used a vacuum cleaner until it explodes so that toys rain from the sky, making it the best Christmas of a generation. Heck, he even manages to frame Santa for his crimes. The little devil then uses the toy-making machine to make monster pills, to transform him into an even bigger monster than he already was.
Hulk! Smash!
It is revealed he never got a present, not because he is just a bad dude, but because he never bothered to write Santa a letter.
I'm an idiot!
Almost! Almost! You almost had a genuinely good villain! And then you decided to make a waterfall barrel ride without a barrel. But since Santa's motto always has been to appeal to the best in people, he gives him a fishing rod as a present, before he begins his 50-year sentence in a prison for juvenile sociopaths. So let's find out what Grozzlebeard does in response to this. He uses a serum that makes all the toys come alive, causing a minor mess. If that kid had been a reoccurring villain, his next plan would have been to place a bomb inside Santa's sleigh that would explode if he flew ever higher than 20 meters. Oh my god, I just came up with the perfect plot for Speed 3. Not the Santa part about this, but the plane part. Anyway, when Grozzlebeard goes fishing, he discovers a letter in a bottle from a boy that lives on an island full of talking animals. One day, an evil troll woman came who turned everything on the island to stone with a magic ring. And now, of course, he begs for help. So, does that mean every time when someone in the world begs him to overthrow a dictator, he comes running? Lock and lo-ho-ho-ho. Grozzlebeard meets up with the troll, wanting to team up with her, but she is not a cooperative type. Everyone except Geordie gets turned to stone, leaving it to him to stop the creature. No, I'm just kidding. Without Santa he is completely helpless. That's why he uses sticks and stones on the island to build an anti-petrification beam. Then the troll witch is turned into a statue herself. Sort of. She is being encased with gum. Also, there's this scene with a gumball machine that goes haywire and starts attacking them, so they simply throw it in the sewers. Does that mean beneath Santa's workshop there's an entire labyrinth full of murderous malfunctioning toys? That would make for an awesome D&D campaign. The island is returned to peace and Christmas can commence. Moving on. A boy can't decide what he wants for Christmas. Not because he is super duper rich, like the kid before, but he really has no idea what he wants. So Santa once again personally shows up, bringing with him virtual goggles, so that he can be shown every possible gift in the universe. The basic idea is sound, but I can't see how this easily can have the opposite effect, especially with someone who can't decide. Ooh, I want that one. I want I want that one. No, that one. Just 2 more weeks, Santa. He eventually chooses a pet squirrel and promises to be very responsible with it. So anyway, the episode ends with Santa rescuing the animal from someone who stole it after it fell out of the window. For someone who wants children to turn into moral, responsible adults one day, you sure don't let them experience the consequences of their own actions. The series finale is a 2-parter. It's a thing of beauty. Move aside video game bunny, take 5 magic wand girl, watch and learn how being completely nuts really looks like. So, ever wondered how Santa manages to bring presents to everyone in a single night? It's not hyperspeed, it's not teleportation. Santa stops time and goes to every home individually. Oh, brother! Okay, let's do some math on that. This won't be super precise, of course, I'm not MadPat. But there are around 2 billion children in the world. Let's assume each of these children lives with 3 siblings in a family. Again, single parents, orphans, all of that very roughly pulled together. Also assuming he brings coal to all the naughty children, so only the total number of children is relevant. Anyway, if 4 children live in one family unit, that means there are 500 million families around the world. Let's think about all the things Santa has to do. He has to take off with the sleigh, get through the chimney or open the front door of the house or apartment, place the presents, walk to the next building. In between, he has to go back to his sack and get more gifts. Also, he needs to move from town to town, country to country, continent to continent, and maybe have a break sometime. So let's say for all of that, Santa needs 20 minutes per family. Meaning, in a single Christmas night, he spends 19,025 years frozen in time. Kill me. The only thing Santa wants each year is for humanity to finally end so that he can be free. But we are not done yet. Grozzlebeard makes one final attempt at ruining Christmas by destroying the magic clock that stops time, leading to all of existence going backwards. Time is fixed and we are reminded of all the children in the series that Santa helped and made happy. And that was the secret world of Santa. And just so you know, no review can ever do this show justice. You have to see it with your own eyes to believe it. It's mental, it's unhinged, it might be a danger to the rest of society. But, to be fair, it is good family entertainment. In the sense that there is something for both adults and children. Kids will laugh when any of the characters fall on their butt for the 600th time, and adults will laugh once the wheat muffins start to kick in and the show loses all connection to reality. It is, in a way, like the earliest cartoons from the 1920s, where the animation itself was a fantastical, psychedelic dream. There aren't any moral lessons here, not that I can see. It's more that Santa is and always has been a nice guy to anyone, regardless if good or bad, which I say gets the character pretty darn right. We are almost off to a new year soon. New reviews, new streams, new adventures. And I am all here for it. And I hope you are too. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and be always the best version of yourself. The German guy out and Auf Wiedersehen.